The Rogue Prince of Persia is an action roguelike game developed by Evil Empire. You may know them as the company who took over the development of the now classic Dead Cells from its original creators, Motion Twin. Dead Cells is still one of the best roguelike games and a favorite of mine to this day. The RP of P is designed in a similar way, from the side-scrolling hack-and-slash gameplay, to the level design, to the on-the-go upgrade system. Although being early access and a bit short on features, I can see a bright future for this promising game just over the desert horizon. If Dead Cells and its years of upgrades, patches, and add-ons is any indication, there is a giant list of things probably sitting on someone's desk that will eventually be added into the game as development continues. As I was writing this review, they even added some new content already. In its present state, the amount of content in the game can be completed in as long as 20 hours or in as fast as 3 hours depending on your skill or level of completionism. The story is your typical Groundhog Day scenario, where you, playing as the prince, must save your country from the Huns. And with a magic bola around your neck, you will have infinite chances to do so. You will meet characters who aren't affected by the time loop, and they will show up in your starting camp to provide some plot and shops where you can unlock weapons and upgrades for your character. The characters aren't very fleshed out yet. I ran by several who didn't even have dialogue options. There are some random NPCs and bosses with plenty to say, but right now the story is mostly expositional. If you beat the current build of the game, you get this nice little message saying that there is more to come. The presentation doesn't look like much at the beginning, but the more you play, the more you appreciate it. I wasn't really impressed by it either until I got to this beautiful garden area and things really started to pop. The animation work here is solid and I absolutely love the fast travel animation. The music sounds really nice, and even though its underlying rhythmic construction is very repetitive like most music today, they really did write this music with some authenticity. They use traditional Persian instruments with an electronic soundscape to modernize the music in an exciting way. The general gameplay is a mix of side-scrolling action and parkour platforming. Your basic attack is a short combo that strings together very well. There are a variety of heavier options that mean more damage in a slower combo. You have a charge attack that is different for each weapon, and you can kick as well, which will knock enemies back against walls, or each other, which will stun them and break their shields. You also get a plunging attack that does the same. You have a ranged weapon and a meter that fuels it. Attacking or defeating enemies with melee refills the bar. So far I really liked the bow, and even though I got a shock rim, it killed me for some reason. The prince has a jump that feels a bit weighty with a tiny delay, but it's not noticeable, and after getting used to it, you won't notice it at all. Pressing L2 will allow you to climb and run on any background wall for a limited time. You automatically grab onto ledges and objects that you can swing from. You can also run straight up a wall too. There are many movement options. You can jump, wall run, then jump into a wall climb, etc. There are ways to refresh your jump or run so you can chain things together and climb quickly. The game has plenty of these shiny yellow doors that lead to challenging parkour sections with a nice gift at the end. Everything works pretty good here, but without a proper back evade or block ability, you have to simply jump away from enemies. In fact, jumping can cause a lot of enemy attacks to miss, so there are probably some iframes here. You can also escape up a wall when fighting to dodge attacks. You can jump cancel most attacks too, but in general, adding some kind of counter evade or anything that would fill in the obvious gap here would be a nice addition. You collect purple spirit glimmers to unlock new weapons. However, you lose any collected glimmers when you die, except if you find this large bowl and deposit them. You may have to look for it, it's not always straight ahead. Your build kit includes medallions, which gives you all kinds of abilities, mostly based around kill an enemy, get this perk, or doing this move makes a slowing puddle on the ground that can also be set ablaze. There are also pay life to get a stronger weapon kiosks and shops along the way to buy items and health. I don't have too many complaints with an early access title, but there are a few of them. First of all, the prince is purple. I actually think this is fine. It's a reference to a port of the original Prince of Persia where the character was indeed purple. I got several achievements at random times, sometimes after completing a level. The enemies can really gang up on you. The game is awkward when you're fighting too many at once. Flailing around with the fluid parkour mechanics can be a bit of a problem. Seriously, if I had a nickel for every time I ledge grabbed into an enemy, I'd have about 4 nickels. I also have a new pet peeve, which is boss attacks where the hurt box extends to behind them. Ugh. I got a build which included a poison attack on my ranged bow, which would do tons of poison damage to bosses, taking down their shield as well. And then by simply attacking, I would get my entire meter back and then do even more damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Because of this, I beat the current campaign in only 2 hours. Enemies also have shields or armor. I think this is a bad trend in games now. Why don't we just have strong enemies without having to bring down a barrier first? I think this artificially inflates encounters with enemies. Overall, the Rogue Prince of Persia is a great game with a solid foundation that will get much better as it is developed. My early access experience was over a bit too soon, but I'm pretty invested so far. If you made it to the end of the video, then you are my favorite kind of person. You have commitment, and you should subscribe for more reviews and gaming content. This is Dan T of Twisted Banana Productions, signing off. Have a good one.